Hey everybody, it's Colby here with PrizeCast. I need a haircut, and today we're having our first episode of Screentime. This is a new series where we're going to be talking with filmmakers and other people about awesome shows that you might not have seen that are on Netflix, Amazon, and what have you. Today I'm really excited to bring in Chris Evans to talk about the Netflix series Living with Yourself. I think you're going to like it. But before we jump into that, I just want to remind you that tonight at 6 p.m. we're going to be showing the Louisiana Film Prize 2019 Orange Slate of Films. It's going to be awesome. You don't want to miss it. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and get those notifications ready. And then let's get to it. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Chris. This is going to be a fantastic episode. I'm so excited to be talking with you about this amazing Netflix show. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm surviving the pandemic. It's great to see a familiar face.
It's been so long since we've seen each other.
Oh man,
wild times these days. But I guess we got a good reason to be talking about watching TV.
Yeah,
considering we're in a pandemic and most of us are stuck in our house.
Oh man, so everybody, this is Chris Allen Evans. He's the Film Prize filmmaker, actor extraordinaire. He's directed, he's acted, he's written, he's done it all. Chris, let's jump into it, man. So this is our inaugural episode of what we're calling Screentime, where we're going to be talking about shows on Netflix or TV or wherever where that people probably haven't seen, or at least not a lot of people have seen that we think they should see. And I think the first episode I wanted to talk about with you was this one, Living with Yourself, and it stars Paul Rudd. And it's an amazing show. It was created by Timothy Greenberg, who created The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And it stars, like I said, Paul Rudd, and I think it's Eileen B.
Actually, it's Aisling B. She's got a weird spelling to her name. She's Irish, so
that's right.
A lot of them say Aisling B, but
Aisling, okay.
She's a comedian, by the way.
Wow.
People may not know that. She's a wonderful actress.
Well, yeah, so it's got a fantastic cast, and there's 8 episodes. It's on Netflix. It's available to watch. And this show is amazing. So I'm just going to give a rundown for everybody who hasn't seen the show, so just because they might not know what it's about. And so here's the trailer.
You're welcome.
Okay, so your heart broke.
The path of life brings us many troubles.
You sit around hoping.
Pain,
he needs to talk.
sadness, humiliation.
You say you even thinking about dying?
Top Happy Spa will rebuild your DNA better than ever. A better you. The best you can be. That's what I want.
How do you feel?
Happy.
When the music starts to play. Oh my God.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Are you okay? Do I need to come down?
No, it's fine. I woke up in a spa. I went to work and came home. I woke up in a grave, and then I walked for 6 hours to find whatever the you are. Now there's 2 me's.
But there's one life. So, what do you suggest we do?
Maybe he has a brain tumor.
Inoperable, I hope.
He's better than me in everything. With work, with Kate.
Are you seriously jealous of you?
I know karate. Not unless you learned it since yesterday morning, you don't.
Do you know a place that sells guns?
I hate you! I am you!
How can you be sure that you are you? You're a monster.
Like Dr. Jekyll. Dr. Jekyll was the sane one. You mean Mr. Hyde. You should pick up a book sometime.
So I remember whenever I first saw this show, I was watching it with my wife, Taylor, and the first thing that we thought of was Chris Evans needs to see this. Right in the first episode, we thought it was fantastic, by the way. Paul Rudd playing himself twice. It's phenomenal. Normally when when an actor plays 2 people, they play 2 different people. But he's playing himself twice as a clone, and it's incredible. But the opening of the series was something that was like Taylor and I, we kept looking back at each other like, this reminds us of Sad Man's Club in a way, and of course it gets far different very early on. But I mean, it's a guy who's like, he hates his job, he's down in the dumps. His coworkers are like, just, I've got this special place for you to go to, and it was like, this is totally Sad Man's Club. And then he goes to it, and it's weird. And then all of a sudden, everything changes. So, like, but the first thing we thought of was, man, Chris Evans needs to see this. And so we recommended it to you. And what did you think?
Well, you and Taylor and I think, watched it separately right around the same time, because I remember distinctly when I turned that on. And I'm a huge Paul Rudd fan. Like, anything Paul Rudd, you know, let's get ready with it. Let's watch. And so I put it on, and the first couple minutes I was like, Paul Rudd made Sad Man's Club. What is going on here? You know, which, of course, was the film I submitted to Film Prize in 2018. It changes from that guy just, you know, bored with his work and life into something very different very quickly. Living with Yourself does, but it was such a spot-on parallel to open the show, you know, the same as my short film did. And I remember thinking that, and then like almost the next day, you and Taylor texted me like, have you seen Living with Yourself? Oh my God, it's Sad Man's Club, which, you know, made me love it even more that someone else had that same thought. But in the end, it's a very different conflict and a very different story than just someone who is upset with his work life, right? This guy that Paul Rudd plays is, you know, upset with his entire life, and he goes about taking on, you know, this spa to improve it. And it's a crazy story. I don't know how many spoilers we're supposed to give away, Colby, but probably not that many.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of twists and turns. I know that, like, you know, that phrase gets thrown out there a lot for a lot of shows, but like this one's pretty weird. I mean, to be Paul Rudd he's a fantastic comedic actor, but he's also got really great dramatic chops, and the way the show balances comedy and drama is really impressive.
Yeah. And this show, I mean, I suppose it's a comedy, but, you know, there's so many good shows that are coming out that are comedies, but then have these really poignant, dramatic moments. And, you know, this show could have just easily been about the hilarity and hijinks that ensue when there are two of you trying to live one life. But really, you know, what makes this show great, in my opinion, is the conflicts that it explores. You know, it explores the conflict, you know, between him and his wife, and, you know, a marriage that is sort of slowly dissolving and nobody's attempting to save it. And how do these two people reconcile that? You know, it's also the conflict between, you know, Paul Rudd's character and himself. You know, he's sort of like, he wants a better version of himself, but after, you know, what happens, there are two of him. So he has to have this conflict of, I care for myself, but I don't want the other me around, you know, but it's me, you know. There's all kinds of cool internal conflicts that the show explores that I didn't expect and that I didn't see coming. It ends really well.
Absolutely. You know, and the themes that are throughout the show are really, really important. And I like how you talked about, like how you said, it's not just, you know, it could have easily been a slapstick comedy about having two of yourself, but no, like it treats it like it's realistic. Like, if this really happened, how dramatic would it actually be? How would people really react? And then also, like, I don't want the other me around, you know, I want me. So it's like accepting yourself, accepting who you are, and then just trying to overcome the problems in your life. And then also, they switch perspectives during the show. Like, so the first episode is really just all from original Miles' perspective, original Paul Rudd's perspective. And then in the very next episode, this isn't too much of a spoiler, but they immediately switch to the clone's perspective. Like his day, how it went great until he discovered the other Miles. And it's genius because they're able to show two different characters played by the same actor and how they're feeling about something that they're both going through together. And it's wonderful because one of the themes is also, you may not know what your purpose is, but that's okay. You can still try to find it. And I think that like it's just, it's handled so well, and it's such a simple show, and I love it.
Well, and these pandemic-y binging times, this is easily a very binge-worthy show. You know, the episodes are short. They're all between 20 and 30 minutes. There's only 8 of them. Really great cliffhanger, you know, at the end of each episode. And you can really just bang them out, you know, one after the other. And I think last year when I watched that, that's what I did. I think I watched the whole series in just a couple days.
It's about 5 hours altogether, I think. So it's really not that much, especially for a TV show and nowadays where everything's hour long. I really appreciated that they just told the story as they needed to tell it, didn't just overfluff it. And not that everything's overfluffed, but like this was just, it was really nice, sort of digestible 30-minute episodes, and it was awesome.
So obviously, Colby, it's Paul Rudd, you know, plays the main 2 characters, which are both the same person, ostensibly.
And you actually have experience with that yourself as an actor. Like, you've played 2 parts of the same character, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, we did this together. We made a film before you started working with Film Prize, for Film Prize back in 2016, Hangman, which was a horror. And I played the main character who is basically attacked by a doppelganger. So I had to play both those characters. So we know how difficult that is to have a scene with 2 characters. Now, I think if you watch Netflix's Living With Yourself, you could probably tell that it wasn't the hugest budget. You know, they did this on what looks like a pretty modest budget. And the filmmaking techniques they used to show Paul Rudd, you know, in conversation with himself, are mostly, for the most part, very simple. And a lot of things that we did, you know, when we shot Hangman, of course, you got to have a body double, you know, so that was one of the things we used, and I'm sure Paul Rudd has a body double, you know, for this show. But then you get into the shots where you're touching one another, and that's when it becomes, you know, more difficult. Really incredible. And you know, I think the worst thing that could have happened is somebody could have watched this show and be like, oh my God, that looks so fake.
Yes.
You know, when Paul Rudd is in scene with himself, but it's so seamless and so well done. Yeah, and the series sort of, you know, hinges on that, and it's really well done. And for filmmakers who want to watch those sort of scenes to see what you can do, you know, cheaply and in camera effectively, this is a great series to sort of use as an example of that.
I think there's a lot of good lessons to learn from a filmmaking perspective, like you were saying, like about just a simple concept and really getting to the emotion of the situation really helped carry it along. And then, of course, you know, Paul Rudd is just great on screen. And so I recommend this for everyone to watch. It's hilarious. It's I would say it's definitely PG-13 for sure.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good call, PG-13, but not R, right? Like, you could share this with the family depending on, you know, what level of shows you enjoy with the family. I think PG-13 is probably a good description. The sort of family dynamic that they expose and the marriage dynamic that they talk about in this film is something that almost every American, you know, can identify with. The things that you say to your wife, the things that your wife doesn't say to you, you know, all these sorts of things play out in this story. You know, the secrets you keep from one another, the secret desires you have from one another, the way you work things out with one another. It's all explored, you know, in this show. So if you are up for a good laugh and an interesting story where the characters have these great arcs and great problems to solve, this is a great show. It was one of my favorites that Netflix put out last year. Absolutely.
It's definitely an awesome show, and I just want to recommend to everyone to please get out there, watch the show, Living With Yourself. It's on Netflix.
No, don't get out there. Stay in there and watch the show. No getting out there. Stay in there and watch the show. And wear a mask when you're sitting at home by yourself watching this show. It's like, Colby, it's like I'm afraid I'm going to give myself coronavirus. I wash my hands to blow my nose, and then I blow my nose and desanitize after. Like, am I giving myself the virus here? What am I so afraid of? I've been home for 3 weeks. Crazy times, brother. Crazy times.
Crazy times. But so stay in and watch the show. Don't go out and watch it. Stay in and watch it. Enjoy it. We think you'll like it. We think you'll love it. Come back and let us know what you thought of the show. And then we'd love to know if you have any recommendations on other shows you think we should watch that other people need to hear about. Chris, thank you so much for being here. Thanks you for talking to me about this awesome show and letting us spread the love through PrizeCast.
Well, Paul Rudd, you and me, together forever, buddy.
Together forever. Awesome. Thanks, man. Well, I'll catch you later.
All right. Thanks, Colby.